People who aren't really into a genre and don't really care to be tend to refer to most examples of that genre as ripoffs of famous ones, such as calling Shonen Battle series Dragon Ball ripoffs, Shonen Monster series Pokemon clones, and of course what everyone says about magical girls. Granbelm, a magical girl/mecha hybrid, has been compared to Madoka, and a big part of that is the main duo. Mangetsu and Shingetsu take a lot of visual and other cues from Madoka and Homura, and a lot of people have commented on that. Now, the show most likely was inspired by Madoka as well as a wide range of other shows, but that's not the same as a total knockoff, so I'll run through how the two couples are similar, how they're different, and why it matters. We'll start with our heroine, Kohinata Mangetsu. She's a soft pink-haired girl who doesn't really have much of a dream. She really cares about friendship, and she's an idealist in a world where there can only be one victor and everyone has a reason to fight. And yes, that sounds a little like Madoka, and most leads of dark magical girl shows, and most leads of traditional magical girl shows. Mangetsu also gets immediately entranced by Shingetsu, despite her being mysterious and hard to read in a situation where others insist she's an enemy, and afraid but intrigued by the battle royale she's wandered into. Thus, people are drawing comparisons. But Mangetsu isn't quite as pure and selfless as Madoka by a long shot. She's still a good person, but her dream, her ambition, and her motivation all revolve around being popular, or at least being noticed, remembered, and loved. Madoka didn't want to be special so much as Homura's single-minded devotion made her special. She wasn't even sure whether she should become a magical girl and took Homura's refusal to let her contract into account, even though she still didn't obey it. Here, Mangetsu has her own unshakable convictions that help her win her fights, even if she feels bad about it afterwards because she knows her desires are selfish. She's almost propelled by bloodlust and definitely not self-sacrificing. Madoka would have thrown the Granbelm, but Mangetsu refuses even though some of her competitors deserve to win, because Mangetsu really wants to be special, and being a mage is her ticket to that. Which is already leading to conflict with Shingetsu, because just like Homura, her goal is to take that magic away. Aside from the long black hair and mysterious aura, Shingetsu's Homura illusions mostly revolve around that. She may not be preventing Mangetsu from fighting like Homura did to Madoka, but Shingetsu wants to end the Granbelm and magic in general. This is, of course, in direct opposition to Mangetsu's dream of using her newfound talent to be important and loved. Shingetsu is also demonized, sometimes literally, by Anna, and her main motivation is to turn against the system after seeing how many lives have been ruined by Mage's ambitions. But that's also how she's not like Homura, because that was only Homura's apparent motivation in the beginning of the show. Homura had gone through 12 years of painful time loops and come out obsessed with keeping Madoka safe, which meant guarded, clueless, and powerless. Everything was secondary to that. Shingetsu's relationship with Mangetsu is much healthier, and she actually tells Mangetsu things. It's everyone else who wants to leave her high and dry because they're afraid of her being a wild card. As well, Homura being a mysterious transfer student was never really elaborated upon. Even the expanded universe really just talked about her being raised in a convent. Shingetsu's life reflects how she's come from overseas, such as the culture shock in episode 2, going from a place where backpacks are for everyone to a place where they're considered to only be for very young children. Anna calls her Ernesta instead of her Japanese name, and even though Anna herself isn't Japanese, it seems to reflect how she sees Shingetsu as someone who doesn't belong. That ends up being extremely important to how the plot unfolds as Anna spirals downward. So yes, they've got similarities and differences on their own, and especially as a duo. Yes, the two of them are strongly being set up to become a couple, although with how many death flags Shingetsu has been dropping, it might end up like Madoka, where they don't get together, albeit for a different reason. But the fact that they're working together, don't hinder each other, and actually talk about their opposing goals makes the relationship very different from Madohomu. If anything, it's closer to Madohomu in the first timeline, but even then, the personalities and roles are kind of switched up. I'm not trying to erase the similarities. Of course there are similarities. But there's a difference between inspiration and imitation, and a difference between imitating certain elements and flat out ripping something off. The character designs may make the leads look a little like Madoka and Homura, but just vaguely, and the style looks more like ReZero or Yuki Yuna. And the visuals and plot take from everything from Fate Stay Night to Magic Knight Rayearth to Go Princess Precure, with a lot of original material besides. Stories are always evolving and growing from the other stories around them. Mangetsu and Shingetsu are definitely inspired by Madohomo, but they're in many ways their own characters with a great many differences. Those differences have already strongly diverted the plot from where Madoka went, and we're only halfway through. Granbelm is one of this season's most underrated shows, and it really should get more attention. This is Secret Identity Studio, and I'm wading through a mountain of Suisho fan theories.